Okay, guys, so next up, let's talk about how we can plan, for our plan, how do we want to determine success of this early CBA completion, um, you know, strategy to help improve our student learning? How are we going to figure out if this whole thing was successful? So, can we really find both qualitative and quantitative data to kind of support this level of success?
The primary metric we want to look at is this the before data in the Power BI? Did we reach the checkpoints of 20% CBA completion at the end of February, 50% CBA completion at the end of March? These numbers will be a big indicator of success.
Yeah, I agree. We could also compare this data to previous semesters to see if this custom assessment strategy increased CBA numbers. What percentage of CBA completion were we at after 2 months of school in previous semesters? I mean, if the 50% we were aiming for is higher than previous semesters, I think this could be another measure of success.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we could also take a look at trends in overall student performance. We can look at correlations between earlier CBA completion and improvements in their quizzes and test scores, and maybe a smaller number of new students, who are behind in their courses.
Love it. Yeah, I think this is all great quantitative data for sure. And so essentially, we were successful in our plan if we met these checkpoints, if we were, ahead compared to other semesters, and ideally, we have less failing and behind students earlier in the semester, and we can keep that going. Okay.
I think we need to talk to teachers, students, and parents to get their feedback on the plans.
For sure. Okay, well, let's start with teachers. What should we be looking at um what should we be looking at in terms of feedback from our teachers to gauge success?
Thank you, Alexa. We can ask teachers to share observations about whether students seemed more engaged. Were they better prepared? Were they more confident in their understanding of the course material? I mean, I think some personal narratives would be great to hear here from the kids.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We could also ask the teachers if by completing their CBAs earlier, it hopefully helped them identify students who were struggling sooner as well. And hopefully that led to some improved scores because we could identify those students that were struggling and intervene, more quickly.
What about how teachers felt about the new CBA structure, how it impacted their workday?
Yeah, yes, if teachers report feeling ahead in their grading or interventions, I think they would serve as another indicator of success, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I'd also be curious if the teachers feel less overwhelmed at the end of the semester by having a more even distribution of the CVAs or even front loading them throughout the beginning of the term. You'd think it would mean less chasing of the students at the end, and this could be another great opportunity for teachers to give feedback towards the end of the semester, engaging how their plan impacted the workload throughout the year.
I think that's a great idea. And what about our students? What should we be asking them? What should we be looking for from our students to see if this CBA completion plan was successful?
Similar to what we discussed for the teachers, I think we want to hear straight from the students whether completing the CBA earlier helped them feel more supportive or reduce stress or improve their understanding of the course material. They may have not liked it at first, but once it was done, hopefully it made a difference in their learning.
Yeah. I mean, we could think about doing an anonymous survey with the kids, or even taking a few minutes in a live lesson to discuss how this might provide valuable insights into their perceptions of the change.
Yeah. Do you guys think your kids would chat about it in live lessons?
A few of mine would. Some of them would probably, they're too quiet no matter what you prod them with.
Yeah.
Maybe if we reach out to those initially concerned parents individually, in addition to sending a survey, we may get some of the best reviews from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We definitely had some parents that I was, working with that had concerns about, the pacing and the flexibility, and hopefully we can show that those concerns have been addressed, and that especially with the weaker students, we are able to help them earlier on.
I think this is great. By combining our data analysis with firsthand experiences from all the stakeholders, I mean, we could get a clearer picture.
I agree. I agree. And I think overall, if the data is showing improvement, if the teachers, if the students are all feeling more supported all around, I think we consider this a success.
Oh, exactly. And if we do identify any gaps, then we can use all of this, quantitative and qualitative data to reevaluate and then refine our plans going forward in the future semesters.
Awesome. All right, moving on.